So I found a rainbow that may lead to an actual pot of gold. So we're going to have to investigate what this site is here. So we've got a sign from the heavens that gold may be here. So the Irishman in me is thinking about locating the top of this thing quickly and securing it with British military assets. Oh my word! An esteemed colleague in Edinburgh in the medical profession is quite good at curing the sort of conditions that people like me have had since birth. So if you look at Vaknin's work, if you can't actually look your own mother in the eye because of sensory sensitivities, and in my case she's deliberately attacking you, you've got a lot of problems. So it's a catastrophic psychological damage for a lot of the adult population. But aside from the cure simply being get away from idiots, go weightlifting, use cannabis, listen to Lateralis, but the body and brain connection, you can't fix it on yourself. I mean, you can do a lot of the work. The internal reframing stuff is learning how to do it, and you can't do that with another person because they aren't you. But there are ways in the modern world. There are people, put it this way, the people in Scotland who have the old world mentalities and are very well educated, know how human bodies work. So the issue for many people, if you look particularly at the older adult male population, I suspect, is just being very, very stiff. So I'm saying to her, if you can't actually feel your own body, it's pretty actually debilitating, isn't it, really? I mean, if you can't feel your body, then you can't do much effectively. I mean, you can't tell what you need, you can't tell if you're hungry, thirsty, tired. A lot of the symptoms, a lot of the people report is lack of bowel control, all kinds of stuff. You've got, in terms of relationally, there's what's called limerence, so people don't fit into the neat boxes that you're supposed to put them into. They exhibit a different kind of place, and your like and dislike of them is based on your own certain rules, not what rules you're supposed to have, this kind of stuff. But what it really creates is the sort of brain that is just an inference making machine. You just think the inference is through and think, well, can you contest it? And if they can't, you win. And in British legal proceedings, you should hypothetically win. But you can't because of the invasion and the subversion, of course, by the Blairites. So if we remember, they went out deliberately back in the 90s and deliberately brought people into the country to do this. So it was a Platonist strategy because they are part of this sort of ancient cult thing. But of course, now it's gone wrong because they were so stupid. I mean, or so bought off. They bought the Muslim world into Britain. So you've now got a Tolkien-esque situation where the armed residents of Green Lane are using debased British currency to breed and take over British public bodies and say, well, we built this, we're not going anywhere. So what Tolkien left for us is correct. So again, the Home Office thing, putting it on a watch list, a terrorism watch list, is obviously straight out of 1984, and you should laugh at that kind of stuff. But of course, it's how British public bodies are still run. If you try to say, actually, I finally understand what's happened after the war. A boat turned up, and then there was a propaganda effort based on that to gain power. Then it's just obvious what we have to do, isn't it? I mean, if you're British, you think, well, the Protestants kept the Catholics out for all history. We certainly kept the Muslims out. Our island is free. That's what we're hit. That's the reason we've gone to war to fight. So if we now have this iron grid over the top of us, based on an internationalist regime that seeks to destroy us, then that's going to be finished, isn't it? We're not going to vanish off into history. So when a year after your father's death you can go and speak to his late partners and say, well, I appreciate you stuck him in a coffin and set fire to him and got rid of a body for me, thanks for that, but I'm sure with what was due, I mean, I could have paid for that. I don't particularly see why his law firm claimed his funeral. Okay, he got his career, from it, but I think he was probably doing the bulk of the work for it. He didn't get to enjoy his retirement, and what was he thanked with? Well, his former partners blocking out people like him because he wasn't part of their gang, effectively. So this is sadly the way it went. But in terms of historical thought, it's not exactly hard, is it? You think back to the 1800s and realise that's where we went wrong, so you set you back in time. Everything onwards has been illegitimate. The various cowardice of the kings during the subsequent wars, and the general cowardice of their governments, because they have no backbone. So we cut Charlie's head off. We can then surround Birmingham, as I say, with artillery, used as a drone warfare lab. So Edinburgh Castle, I believe, is a no-fly zone, or certainly should be. So you can designate all of Scotland to be no drone zone, right? So no commercial drones, other than licences for commercial use, maybe. But in Birmingham, they are to only be used for policing at the moment. So we create Megacity 1 in Birmingham. Again, new passports and this sort of thing. If you want to be a foreign national and work in Birmingham, fine. We can say you give it a Freeport title or something, the worst city on earth, and you can own property there if you like, but the rest of the property is hived off for the British, and we can start getting the country back that sort of way. But the Restore Britain's policy, it is entirely reasonable in banning stuff like halal and kosher, is totally fine, of course, in keeping with British history. We can do what we damn well please. We're not going to be guilted or shamed into dying or giving up our country to people who are not us and are often very hostile to us. But if you're inheriting the traditions that you do, with Charles, it is down to beheading. So he's there to defend the faith. He's not defending the faith because he's capitulating to this silly cult. Islam is a Ponzi scheme based on rape, and his own son couldn't force the grandman to shake his wife's hand in the mosque. But in Scotland, I mean, if you do sort of give respect to intelligent women, it actually would do more than shake their hand. You'll find that the quality is significantly higher than the trash in Birmingham. So in terms of sorting these people out, and they're not particularly bright, they're sort of thuggish apes. So surround it with large guns, get out, and we'll police you by drones, and then we'll see what happens when the assertive voice comes back to the British. But the only way to do that is by calling on history. So it's the will. If you have no king, you have no leader. So Charlie ain't a leader. Nobody's going to follow him into battle. He's not really sure. Nobody's sure in the country who's going to lead it. Everyone's looking for a leader. Lowe's got a big bark. But again, in my case, it's not really a bark. It is a petition to the king. So we've tried to get police since November. There are all sorts of criminals in Birmingham. We were trying to petition him. Subsequently, we can't get attention from the King of England as one of his subjects and one of his court officers. So it is the case that Charles should be coming to the top of Arthur's Seat and explaining the current invasion to the British. And again, I would cheerfully cut his head off. I did say this to, again, my Diogenes-like associates beneath St Giles, and they giggled a bit, but they will think about it and they'll understand it's true. The relationship with the intelligent people up there is generally tends to be a certain way. You can show each other that things are true in certain ways by a lot of force in both directions, but once the pushing and shoving is over, you come to a certain sort of peace, and you realise why the Romans couldn't take this place, and the residents of Green Lane won't either. But to finish it off then, so as in terms of Asmongold would understand, I mean, as an early adopter, so I did join the Cromwell Club when it first propped up. I think I may have joined twice by accident. But again, as an early adopter bonus, £2,500 to tap into the thermotic energy contained within the soil of Britain, to behead the king and restart Britain with an Anglo-futurist forward momentum based on blasting Birmingham to pieces. is probably a sensible policy solution. I think certain people could get behind, including Pete North and of course Martin Carty, who is cursed to be kissed by every woman in Birmingham every day for the rest of his life. Good luck, Martin. I wouldn't want to be cursed with that shit. Oh.